It's about that time again where I watch an episode of New Girl and process out loud with you guys how the main character Jess exhibits autistic traits. Today I'll be watching season 1, episode 11. It's titled Jess and Julia. For those of you who don't watch New Girl, this is the episode where Jess, the main character, is exploring a friendship with Nick's new girlfriend. And they are kind of butting heads because they're so different, but also Nick's girlfriend is a little bit jealous of Jess because I feel like she kind of suspects that there's something there between Jess and Nick, which, I mean, she ends up being right. But I'm actually really looking forward to this episode, and I am hoping that you guys will join the discussion because I feel like this is such an important topic to talk about, just being an autistic woman and the struggles we could really have with socialization and female friendships and things like that. But with that being said, let's get into the episode. Make sure you guys grab your drinks, stay hydrated. I know some of you guys be forgetting that your body needs hydration and air and food. So I always like to give you guys extra reminders.
Your sheets are so soft.
They've actually been in my family for almost 40 years.
Wow.
If these old things could talk, huh?
Ew.
I was just trying to paint a picture.
Read the room. Jeez. Hey, Julia. Hey. So fun having another girl around here. There are tampons hidden all over the apartment.
Ah, damn towel! Damn!
There we go.
It's like a really big wet nap.
I feel like what Jess does throughout this episode, and you see it here already, she tries so hard to connect with Julia. Jess is just expressing the appreciation and the excitement of having another woman there. And then she shares right after there's tampons hidden all around the house. And as you guys can see, Julia kind of just thinks that comment was really weird. The way that I'm interpreting it is that it's just really personal and unnecessary, I guess, because they don't know each other. They're strangers. So why are you telling me that there's tampons hidden everywhere? But the way that I see it from Jess's perspective is she's trying to say, hey, we're gonna be close from here on out because you're gonna be in my living space, you're dating my roommate, and so let's just kind of break the barriers here now. I feel like the nonverbal message being sent here is, I got your back, I look out for you, you will never go without in this household because I will always make sure that you're taken care of. But of course, because Julia is so different from Jess, she did not get that.
I feel like I'm being licked by a golden retriever. Look at this bathroom. There should not be 2 girls in this bathroom. They're too humid. You make everything damp.
80% of the products in here are yours.
Blah, 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 yawn, yes. I use sculpting chutney. But once I'm done with my chutney, back in the row it goes. Hair everywhere, the multicolored rubber bands. I'm fine with it. It's all okay with me, but a damp towel is where I draw the line.
Sorry, so what are your thoughts on damp towels?
Oh, you better watch it, Nick's overnight guest.
Julia.
I know your name.
I love Julia's sarcasm. I really do. When she was like, sorry, what are your thoughts about damp towels? I just keep looking at Schmidt's nipples. There's so many references to Schmidt's nipples throughout the show of like cats licking it and how small and pink they are. And now I'm just like, my eyes go straight to his nipples. It's just, anyways.
Are you flexing right now?
No.
Hey.
Hey, so I'm gonna just get ready in your room.
Sure, feeling a little weird and uncomfortable in here?
Hey, Julia, I'll see you later tonight.
Yeah, see you later.
She's helping me get out of a traffic ticket.
Jess, are you seriously using the girl I'm sleeping with for free legal advice?
Oh, I'm sorry, the girl you're sleeping with? I mean, you can't call her your girlfriend?
We're not labeling it.
Oh, you're not labeling it because you're too sophisticated.
Don't do your sophisticated guy.
That's not how a sophisticated man dances.
How's a sophisticated man dance?
I'm too sophisticated. I don't believe in labeling. You gotta get laid, man.
You gotta get laid, man.
Yeah, I need to get laid. This is bad.
Have a seat.
Okay.
Let me get you a blanket.
Why would I want a blanket right now?
Just to get toasty.
Oh.
Would you like a cookie or a cupcake? I made them.
Oh no, I'm okay. I'm not really a dessert person. I just don't eat it usually.
Okay. I'm just gonna put this like right here.
I don't just. Okay. Why don't you just take me through what happened?
I will say, I do that. I am Jess in this scene. My favorite love language is just acts of service, like making someone feel taken care of, nurtured, looked after. Again, you could see how uncomfortable Julia is because she isn't used to women showing that they care and is nurturing. But we'll also see that Julia is insecure about the fact that she's not nurturing and very caring in that way. And so she feels insecure about it. And instead of introspecting on it, she kind of projects that onto Jess.
With the ticket. Okay, they got a photo of you.
At the scene of the crime.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay. This may actually be kind of hard to argue with.
Well, there's actually more there than meets the eye. There was a bird. He's not in the shot, but he was injured and he couldn't get out of the road. And so I braked and then I had to accelerate out of the intersection.
You missed your first court date on this.
My ex-boyfriend failed to send it to me before the court date because he doesn't believe in mail, which has to do with his thoughts on government spending.
Now it's an $800 fine.
That's why I need like a really awesome lawyer like you. So, can you help me?
I mean, I can try. You never know. A judge might buy into this whole thing, so.
What whole thing?
Your whole thing. With the cupcakes and the breaking for birds and bluebirds come and help me dress in the morning.
Oh, I didn't know I was doing a thing.
It's a great thing. I mean, the big, beautiful eyes, like a scared baby. I'm sure that gets you out of all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, except my peripheral vision's like almost too good.
Oh my God. The fact that Jess doesn't really quite know yet what's going on here, and she's so desperately still trying to connect with Julia when Julia is just outright throwing shade at Jess is so funny to watch because Julia is basically making fun of Jess to her face. And then Jess is just like, I didn't know I was doing a thing. Because, I mean, it's true. Like, Jess is just doing what Jess does, right? But this is the interesting part. Okay, let's process together. Let's process together, you guys. Julia represents what a masker can be like when it comes to being extremely bitter and contemptuous. So I feel like when people like Julia, who actively suppress aspects of themselves, see a person like Jess who is unmasked and is completely just expressing herself however she likes to, they tend to get really resentful of Jess's, because it's like, how does this person get to just be themselves and be accepted and loved? Jess is trying so hard to find a way to still connect with Julia, where the only thing she could glom onto is, yeah, my peripheral vision is almost too good. And that's the thing about dynamics like this that could be so toxic, is when you get someone that is so bitter of you and they aren't afraid in expressing that in these passive aggressive ways, and you're trying so hard to still connect with them, you end up getting to a point where the only way you could connect to them is through hating yourself. Does that make sense? And that is not good, because the other person who's contemptuous of you isn't interested in actually connecting with you and building you up and enjoying life together or enjoying their lives. It's all about them wanting to hate on you.
Hey, so living here, it's probably fun, right?
Yeah.
There are like lots of girls that coming in and out of this place.
Schmidt's like Ellis Island in the 1800s. He accepts everyone.
Yeah, and Winston and Nick.
I probably shouldn't.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't have
Play
to.
the fifth.
No, that's not Winston.
Objection!
It's so funny because when Julia first started that line of questioning, I feel like neurotypical non-autistic people would have caught on immediately, like, oh, my roommate's girlfriend is trying to get the tea. She wants the tea and she thinks she could get it from me because I'm also another girl. But Jess genuinely didn't catch on to it. And then when Julia pushes even further and she's like, and Winston and Nick, I feel like that's when Jess finally caught on. But what Jess doesn't realize is that if you think about it, that is Julia's first attempt in making a connection with Jess. And what's interesting is by Jess saying, I don't think I should answer that question, Julia is being rejected by Jess. So now we're seeing here, Jess has been rejected at least twice now, with the tampons conversation and the blanket/cupcake conversation. And then Julia has been rejected once now by Jess with questioning about Nick, because what's essentially happening is Julia would never ask the guys that question, right? Because the guys are without a doubt on Nick's side. But because Julia sees Jess as another woman, she thinks that there is a sense of, I guess, loyalty there in a way where, like, girl to girl, you understand my worries, right? So can you just do me a solid and answer my question and, you know, give me some affirmation here and help me out a little bit or whatever it is. So when Jess actively said I shouldn't talk about that, which I think was coming from a place of Nick is my friend. Like at that point, I don't think Jess saw it as a gender thing. It's just like, Nick is my friend. He's my roommate. I am loyal to him. And I don't think it's morally right for me to tell someone that I don't know information about him that should be private and things like that. But I think Julia took it as, oh, I tried to make a connection with Jess and see if we were there for each other, and Jess rejected that offer, and she non-verbally stated that she's more so on Nick's side than my side. So I feel like that's what's happening underneath the surface of the interaction, but it's not being directly communicated, if that makes sense. And that's what's so frustrating about communicating with other people sometimes, especially if you guys are just not understanding, is just you're saying all these things and interacting, but whatever is happening underneath is being completely missed.
Nick, hey!
Hey, Julia.
You want to hang out in your room?
Sure. Jess, if you'll excuse us, Julie's about to be very disappointed.
Okay, so I will look at the stuff some more. I'll call some people, see what I can do. Here's your blankie back.
Power blazer. Hey. What's going on with the ticket?
She has a problem with me, Nick. Okay? She doesn't like me.
Hey, what are you talking about?
You don't understand because you're a guy.
She does not have a problem with you. She's just...
Nick, your girlfriend's not a dessert person.
It's so funny seeing Jess processing what that interaction was like way after the fact. And that's such a relatable thing when you're autistic and you have delayed processing. There's so many times where in the middle of an interaction, I just like try to get by it as smoothly as possible. There's been so many times where I've been just in that situation and someone was actually being shady towards me or mean, and I didn't know at the time, and I'm just like very earnestly responding to them. And then after the fact, I realize they were being mean, and then I kind of get really frustrated with myself because I think like, oh, I must have looked so stupid to them being that innocent and ignorant, not catching on to it and not being able to give them that same energy back in the moment, because I feel like neurotypical people would be able to passive aggressively make those comments to each other and have that back and forth. Women don't tend to confront each other very straightforwardly, and I don't like to make things about gender very often because it really shouldn't be about that. But the truth of the matter is, depending on your gender, you're socialized in such a specific way. I don't think we should, but that's just how it is. That is just how majority of society is. And so women tend to take out these sort of issues in these underlying invisible ways. I feel like Jess is pretty justified when she says, you're a guy, you don't understand, because Nick doesn't. On the surface, he's like, they're getting along, they're helping each other out, they're talking, but Jess just came out of a battleground essentially, where on the surface it looks like they're talking, but underneath the surface, it's just like a bunch of invisible knives being thrown at her. And it's so relatable because Jess doesn't know how to explain that because it's so invisible. So all she could really get out is, your girlfriend is not a dessert person.
She said you have a whole thing?
Sorry, she doesn't like desserts?
Where is she? Right now.
Look, I think I know what she meant. I mean, you do like girly stuff. I mean, it kind of freaked me out at first. When I met you, you were wearing a hat made of ribbons.
My ribbon hat. I love that hat.
Screw her! And I'm gonna wear that ribbon hat. Go get it right now.
Be right back.
Oh, there she is.
Where is this bitch? I'm gonna smack that lawyer learning right out of her mouth.
Okay, this is getting excessive, guys. She's actually helping her get out of a ticket.
Oh, by being condescending and judgmental?
What did she say?
Just drop it, Nick.
Okay, what did Julia do wrong?
Oh my God, what did I just say? Like, this is such a common thing when you're trying to explain to men the intricacies of like how women fight and interact, because like I said, on the surface, it looks like they're okay. Julia is helping Jess get out of a traffic ticket. Why would someone do that if they didn't like the person? Like, that is a huge favor, right? So Nick is genuinely confused as to what's going on here. But what he doesn't realize is the way that women fight is so invisible. As an autistic person, I still don't know how to deal with this sort of fighting. I call it invisible fighting. It's like on the surface, you're smiling, hugging each other, having great conversation, besties, but underneath the surface, there's all of these like chess moves and like weird underlying messages and assumptions and insinuations. And then you're expected to not only understand it, but know how to give back the insinuations and jabs, but in a way where on the surface, you're still nice, but underneath the surface, it's still hitting them. It's like Battleship. Oh my God, that's such a good metaphor. It's like Battleship. Oh my God, yeah. That's what it's like to be fighting with another woman. She's not comfortable being straightforward with you, or you're also not comfortable, whatever it is, but you guys just like do it in these like underlying ways. And it's so hard to explain it to an outsider or explain it to a man and be like, we're beefing right now. Like, this is not good. We hate each other. And the outsider or like Nick in this situation is just like, what are you talking about? They're fine. Like, they're friends. They're okay. There's nothing going on. It's funny because they're trying to explain to him what's going on, but it still sounds crazy when they say it out loud because it's that invisible. And this is something I've come across so often as well, is when I try to explain to other people or guys what's going on between me and another woman, I'll like say what they did to me or all that kind of stuff. But when I say it out loud, I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound bad, or that doesn't sound like she's trying to attack me. And so I feel like I'm crazy because other people are going to be like, that doesn't make sense. That seems fine. And then it's just like, you have to know by being there and receiving it that it's not actually that innocent on the surface. And oh God, I tell you, female warfare is a trip. You do not want to be caught in the lines of female warfare. It is absolutely a nightmare to deal with. A nightmare.
It's just how girls fight sometimes. There's a lot unsaid. Like, one time a girl said to me, Jess, you rock a lot of polka dots.
Ooh, how did she say it?
Jess, you rock a lot of polka dots.
That is diabolical.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
And it ruined our friendship. I mean, I couldn't get over the polka dot incident.
You see what I mean here? Where Nick is trying so hard to understand what is so bad about someone saying, Jess, you rock a lot of polka dots. But then the girls completely understand what Jess is trying to say. And they're like, oh, how does she say it? Because like, it's not necessarily what they say, it's how they say it, or like when they say it and things like that. And that makes such a big difference because that determines the invisible weapon that they're throwing at you. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I've been through so many situations like that where another woman will say something to me that is technically a compliment, but then my autistic ass is just like, wait, why do I feel bad though? And it takes me so long to interpret it in real time because I just feel a disconnect of, okay, the words are good, but underneath I don't feel good. So what's happening here? One time I was doing a group project for school and then I was like really excited about what we were doing. And then one of the girls looked at me and she was like, Irene, you care so much about this project, huh? I just knew that she wasn't actually trying to compliment me. I feel like what she was actually trying to say is, you're so pathetic for caring this much about something so stupid. It's so difficult as an autistic woman in these moments to know how to respond because of course, what she says is a compliment. And so I can't just be like, wow, you're such a bitch. Why'd you say that? Like, what did I do to you? Which is, I've done stuff like that before, especially when I was younger and I was a lot less emotionally regulated. And then, of course, I look like a bad guy because people are like, whoa, Irene, you're so aggressive for no reason. Why? And I'm just like, because she said I was stupid. And they'd be like, she literally told you that you cared about this thing. How is that a bad thing? You see what I'm saying here? So I feel like there's a lot of women out there who have mastered that sort of invisible attacking communication style where they will know exactly what to say back to throw a jab back at them, but on the surface, it's still clean cut and pure. I was completely miserable when I would be put in multiple situations where I had to come across people like that. But thankfully, as you get older and as you become an adult, you get to have more control over who you're around and who you're interacting with. So now as like a 28-year-old woman, like I don't deal with people like that anymore, but man, it's so hard when you have to go through it. So I really feel for my autistic teenage girl viewers who may be watching this. Like, it is rough, trust me.
You know what, Jess? Julia's one of those girls where she doesn't have like a lot of girlfriends because she thinks like a guy. She doesn't play mind games.
So blind.
Look, all I know is she's totally upfront with me. No subtext, no code.
Oh, okay. So did she come right out and ask you if you were seeing other girls? Because she asked me.
She did?
You didn't know that? Because I thought you guys were so upfront with one another. I thought you guys told each other everything.
Yeah.
She told him she didn't want to label it.
Oh, I mean, that's a classic move, even in the lesbian community.
This is something I've been processing for a while. We always hear the term of a pick-me girl, right? A girl that says, I'm not like other women. I'm like one of the guys. I'm like one of the dudes.
You can always try being a guy's girl.
Should we shotgun a beer?
I totally love video games.
I'm not like other girls.
I totally love video games. I totally love
Should we
video
shotgun a
games.
beer? Anyone want to get wings? Anyone?
A lot of women have been giving women like that shit, justifiably so, because it's just problematic behavior, right? But what I think is interesting that I noticed is that there's a lot of like genuinely autistic women who say similar themes of, I don't really get along with other girls. I don't find myself resonating with them or connecting with them. It's really difficult for me. It's easier for me to get along with guys because interactions are a lot more simple to understand and things like that. Immediately people go and swarm autistic women that say stuff like that, and they're like, you're such a pick-me, like you have internalized misogyny, you're problematic and whatnot. There's a difference between a woman who thinks separating herself from other women and aligning with men makes her more valuable versus a woman who tries really hard to connect with other women, but because there's all of these social intricacies of how women tend to bond that you don't know how to code switch into, you're not choosing for it to happen like the other pick-me girl that's like, I want to be special and I'm choosing this label. The autistic woman is just stating a label that has been put onto her or an experience that has happened to her despite her wanting it to happen. Does that make sense? Am I explaining myself clearly here? But yeah, I just thought that was important to talk about because this is a moment where Nick genuinely thought that Julia was one of the guys, but Jess is trying to highlight to him that she is just putting on an act to impress you and to make herself look cooler and more valuable, and that is completely not who she actually is, because behind your back she is doing all of these sneaky things and asking me questions about you that she's too scared to ask you directly because she doesn't want to look uncool.
Why can't you just admit that she's your girlfriend?
I know, I just thought it was uncomplicated and now I'm freaking out. I'm not good at being a boyfriend. I'm good at being that guy that you find yourself spending more and more time with until you meet your husband.
All right, so far, Nick Miller's list of fears is sharks, tap water, real relationships.
And blueberries.
Jess is so real. Like, she is not being sarcastic here. She's being literal. That's the funny part. This is why I love Jess, because she is genuinely going down the list of observations she has in her head for Nick. And she does this for every character because she remembers all of the most random facts about every character, because that's what a lot of autistics do when we love someone. We just memorize their patterns, what their likes are, what their fears are, what their dislikes are, what their preferences are, all of that kind of stuff. And so you could just tell that in her head, she's like, I've known Nick for this long now, and I've already gathered that he doesn't like sharks, he doesn't like tap water, he doesn't like commitment.
Barkeep, get this man a drink. Ladies, he hadn't had sex in 4 months. Come and get it, ladies.
4 months isn't that long.
Did it go well with Shelby?
I gotta say, I thought it would be easy. You know, maybe I don't have game. Maybe I never had game. Maybe it's always been about basketball.
Yeah, you don't have any game. It's always been because you play basketball. Are you seriously just realizing that you don't have game?
What is your secret, man? How do normal guys get girls?
Let's not say normal, just, say what it is. Average.
You've had the most game out of any of us. Because for years now, you've been working with absolutely nothing.
He makes a good point.
Okay, I've been working with nothing.
Zilch.
You're right, I've got nothing. Accept this.
Miller, no cocktail.
Sorry, Julio. Julia. Hey, Julia.
Hey. Oh, you guys are using names? That's not too label-y for you?
Oh my god, I so relate to Jess because once she sees a flaw in the system, she will point it out every time. That is such an autistic trait. How many of you guys, when you start to see a flaw or a pattern, the petty part of you just wants to be like, oh yeah, look what just happened. Remember when I told you that this thing happens? It just happened now. When we get to that point, people oftentimes think that we're so petty, which it kind of is if you think about it, but also it's just one of those things where you get to that point because people are in so much denial that you're just like, okay, let's be delusional here. Let's be petty here. Let's play this game. I'm gonna point out anytime this happens just so you could realize that what I'm saying is objectively true because you don't want to accept it when I'm just nicely trying to communicate it now. And this is why I feel like a lot of the times people aren't able to handle having an autistic person in their lives because they're not able to handle being aware of stuff that they want to be unaware of. It's like, can you just let me be ignorant, please? Like, stop pointing out something as an issue. I don't want to know that I'm fucking up all the time or this often. Just let me be ignorant. Let me not know that I'm doing this again and again, please. But I mean, if you're gonna have an autistic person in your life, you better be ready to be called out. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing or it's okay or it's not annoying, but I'm just saying that tends to be how we process the world. So we're most likely gonna, you know, communicate in that way.
Hey, Jules.
Hey. I'd drop by and say hello.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing drop-bys.
Oh my God. Sorry you guys that I'm pausing so much, but this episode just has so many good conversational points. Julia is such a good example of what a high masker is. And I'm not saying Julia's autistic or not autistic, but I do feel like regardless of her neurotype, the way that she socializes is such a high masking way to socialize because you could see every time she's interacting with Nick and even Jess, she's constantly calculating what the insinuation is behind what they're saying instead of just taking what they're saying at face value and responding directly to it. So when Nick is like, I didn't know we were doing drop-bys, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I just got off work and your bar was nearby and I wanted to come see you. She's thinking to herself, does he think that I'm being desperate? Does he think that I'm moving too fast? Does he want to pull away from me? You can never really get to the root of the issue and resolve it with people like that. You could kind of see in this next scene, because she's such a high masker, it makes the conversation a lot less productive because she wants him to believe that she is cooler, more detached than she's actually coming across because she thinks he is implying that she is desperate. He thinks that she is actually cool and detached and doesn't care about him. And so now he's also masking and trying to make her feel like he also doesn't care and is cool and detached. And then it becomes a whole shit show where the whole interaction is just completely unproductive, unhelpful, feels like shit, and you feel even worse because you're not honoring what's actually going on in you and you're not finding a solution and you feel just so helpless, right?
So Jess told me what you asked her yesterday.
What?
That you asked if I was sleeping with other people.
That is not even, what?
I don't want to play games.
That's not what happened, okay? I just said something to her because I was feeling kind of guilty because I'm dating other people, and I just, you know, wanted to see if you were also
You're dating other people?
Yeah.
No, I'm seeing other people too.
Good.
I'm having sex all the time. I'm like a mailman. Except instead of mail, it's hot sex that I deliver.
I've had to start carrying like athletic shoes in my purse because I have to sprint from one sexual encounter to another. Can't wear heels.
Well, I'm having sex right now, under the bar, and she's on top. So figure that out.
Was that her?
Yeah.
Well, great. Then we're both doing the exact same thing and we're on the same page.
Kudos for not putting labels on
That is
things.
exactly what I want.
It's my dream.
Just gonna go to the bathroom really quickly.
Okay, great.
I do not know how the actors did not bust out laughing in that scene, because I would have lost it. I would have absolutely lost it.
Hey, Julia?
Are you serious?
Did Nick say some stuff to you? Because I'm really sorry and I want to
Why would you tell him that I said that? Do you know what that makes me look like? I see what you're doing. I know that I'm the mean lawyer girl who wears suits and works too much. And you're the really fun teacher girl with all the colorful skirts and you bake things. And eventually Nick is gonna come running to you and you'll tuck him in under his blankie and...
So Jess sees that Julia and Nick just got into a fight and she feels really bad and she cares about Julia, obviously. But Julia keeps thinking that Jess is this evil, vindictive person that keeps trying to sabotage her and Nick's relationship. Julia just sees this as Jess followed me into the bathroom to rub this in my face because she is enjoying the fact that I'm suffering right now. You see how like interactions could be so crazily different because you are interpreting things different. This is why it's so important to try to understand people for who they actually are and what they're actually trying to say, rather than trying to understand people from your own point of view and biases. Because the last thing you want to do is to misinterpret someone's intentions because you're too egoic and thinking about it from your point of view. And vice versa, like someone else should afford you the same thing, right? And a lot of the times us as autistic folks don't really get that luxury of people actually understanding us for what we're trying to communicate. We oftentimes get extremely misinterpreted. So I feel for Jess in this moment. You could literally see Jess finally processing where Julia's mind is at and being genuinely so distraught. Like, how can you think this way? Like, how can you think that all of this is just optics and masks and everything has an ulterior motive?
What is it with you on the blankie thing? I never said the word blankie. I don't talk like Teddy Ruxpin.
If I acted the way that you act when I was at work, nobody would listen to me.
Well, if I acted like you at work, my students would turn in really weird, dark dioramas.
That's an interesting distinguisher. Julia thinks that if she acted like Jess, people wouldn't respect her or think that she was valuable. Whereas Jess thinks that if she acted like Julia at work, that would negatively impact the kids. You see the difference there where one is extremely egoic and the other one's more empathetic?
I don't like you, and I don't want to be your friend, so...
Fine.
Can you leave, please? Because I'm about to start crying, and you are the last person that I want to cry in front of.
I want to cry too, and where am I supposed to cry? You can't monopolize the bathroom crying space.
Please, go.
What are you doing? Just get out!
At least Julia was honest in that last scene. That's the thing people don't realize. Autistic folks so much more prefers you to be honest, even if that doesn't feel good, even if that's not nice or whatever. Because if you're honest, at least I know what's going on and at least I can process what's real, rather than processing all of this fluff and then underneath the surface is all this other context and what's actually happening that I don't even get to.
I see you have dressed for the occasion.
Oh, hi. You didn't have to come. I'm sure you're very busy.
I said that I would be here, so I'm here.
Don't worry. I think I can handle it.
Let's just get this over with so we can get out of here.
Count here. This is keeping a dog on a leash.
Your Honor.
Leading up after your dog.
Your Honor. Your Honor. These are the facts, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Case 74. Jessica Day.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm present, sir.
Okay, listen, you just have to enter the plea yourself, all right? And then I'll do the rest.
Okay, I got it.
All right, so you know all we have to do is
got it. Thank you. Okay.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
What?
Great. Pay your fine upstairs.
Well, I guess we're never gonna know if the bird defense worked. Such a bummer, too. We have this pool at my office.
Okay, hey. I got something to say to you, man.
What?
I break for birds. I rock a lot of polka dots. I have touched glitter in the last 24 hours. I spend my entire day talking to children, and I find it fundamentally strange that you're not a dessert person. That's just weird, and it freaks me out. And I'm sorry I don't talk like Murphy Brown, and I hate your pantsuit. I wish it had ribbons on it or something to make it just slightly cuter. And that doesn't mean I'm not smart and tough and strong.
Okay.
And I know you like Nick, and I'm not trying to interfere, but you should just talk to him about it. Are you done? I am almost done. I'm about to go and pay this $800 fine, and my checks have baby farm animals on them, bitch.
It's the wrong way.
As you can see, because Julia was finally honest, Jess now is able to directly respond to the truth, which is, okay, this person doesn't like me. I don't have to keep trying to make connections with her anymore. Whereas if Julia were to keep masking and essentially lying, Jess would have to keep playing that weird game of like, I want to be friends with you, I want to help you out, and then Julia consistently being mean to her. I also like that at this point, Julia also is dropping the mask. It's almost like Julia's so exhausted at this point that she just doesn't care anymore, which in a weird way is good because it just allows there to be more authentic conversations.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Nick's not here.
That's okay. Because I came here to... Well, I kind of came because I thought it would be good if you and
Hey, Jess, my hands are actually stuck in the yarn because...
Oh, I didn't realize that you had people over. Sorry.
No, it's just crochet time.
Yeah.
Nick's not here right now.
No, I know. Thanks. I'll just come back later.
Hey, Julia, do you want to crochet with us?
I mean, growing up was brutal. I went to an all-girls school. The worst girls can be so mean to each other.
Cece and I hid in the bathroom for 4 years.
This is really nice, guys. Thank you for letting me join in. It's totally relaxing, except that I don't know why. If I put the fox through the cave, it doesn't. The yarn is broken. I don't know why this is not turning into
What you making?
a hat.
If you're making a hat for a baby, it is done.
Yeah.
You could tell Julia is so hard on herself. This is probably why she masks so much. It's just nice to see her in a space where she could have an emotionally healing experience. I think in psychology, they call this an emotionally corrective experience. Don't quote me on this. I'm paraphrasing. You have an emotional wound that is linked to a specific self-perceived truth. When you have an experience that directly contradicts that, like you believe that women judge other women and are secretly trying to sabotage other women, but you are now experiencing a situation where women are being there for you to build you up and encourage you, that contradictory experience helps correct that bias or what was previously known as a truth. This is why it's so important to allow yourself to be open to new thought patterns and experiences and new truths, because if we've had multiple bad experiences throughout our lives and now we carry all of these horrible truths within us, like Julia probably does, which is why she masks, because she fundamentally probably believes she's not worthy as a person. It's important for her to put herself in situations where she could be open to women like that, to show her, I can mess up on things. I can take time to pick something up, and women are going to be there to actually encourage me rather than judge me, right?
Hey, Julia, what are you doing here?
Could I talk to you for a second?
Okay. Hey, Julia. Stop.
No, there's something that I need to say to you.
You're right, then go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it. Okay.
Just say it.
All right. I wanted to say that I don't want to date anybody else. I just want to date you.
Well, that's what I was gonna say to you.
Really?
Yeah.
So then what does that mean? You're like my boyfriend now?
As an autistic person, I'm just thinking to myself, why didn't you just say that in the beginning? Like, we wouldn't have had to go through all of that if you just were honest. And it's so frustrating, but also satisfying to see, okay, finally Julia has gotten to a place where she could be honest and tell the truth and have an actual productive conversation, connection, heart to heart. A lot of this is because just being who she is encourages others to be who they are.
Yeah, I'm not really into labels.
Yeah, all right. Boyfriend, it's so lame. You're totally gonna carry my books home from school.
You could totally tell that this honest communication and connection is healing a key aspect of relationship wounds that developed for her in high school, because she's in this moment referring back to a high school memory that she probably wished would have happened but never did, but she feels the feelings of what that experience would have been like if she did go through it, but she's experiencing it now.
I will if you wear my Leatherman jacket.
It's Letterman jacket.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a Leatherman jacket.
You letter.
The leather sleeves with the football guys wear.
I'm right. I'm right.
I love Nick because every time he says stuff like that, you laugh because it's not right, but you also laugh even harder because his logic weirdly makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it is a jacket with leather sleeves, so Leatherman jacket. Because I do the same thing sometimes where for the longest time, I thought that the Heimlich maneuver was pronounced the Heimlich remover. I brought that up to my partner the other day because he's a nurse, and he was just like, how can you think that's the Heimlich remover? And I was just joking around, and I was like, because when someone's choking, you need to remove the Heimlich. That's what helps them not choke anymore. And I felt like that was just such a Nick moment. All right, so that was so fun. I feel like this was such a good episode, especially if you resonate with the experience of being an autistic woman, trying to navigate the complexities of female friendships and relationships. Yeah, like I said so many times, it is oftentimes so scary, and just you feel so in over your head, you don't know what to do. But if you guys have any similar experiences that you want to share in the comment section below, or anything you want to add to the discussion in any sort of way, I would be so interested in hearing what you guys have to share. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on today's video and watching this episode of New Girl with me. Make sure you take some time to drink some water, breathe, and take yourself on a walk. I will see you guys on next week's episode. Take care.